Mike Pence, the former vice president, is going to challenge DOJ's special counsel subpoena. As per USA Today, Mike Pence is going to challenge a subpoena from a Justice Department special counsel investigating Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election, two people familiar with the matter said Tuesday. Further, they said that Pence's legal team is expected to argue that the former vice president's dual role as president of the Senate and member of the legislative branch at the time would protect him from the special counsel summons. The Pence subpoena marks the most aggressive known step taken by special counsel Jack Smith since his appointment in November to oversee both the election interference inquiry and a separate examination of Trump's handling of classified documents. Pence's injection into the inquiry, while not unexpected, could pit two prospective frontrunners for the Republican presidential nomination in 2024 against each other in a criminal investigation. Trump has launched a bid to retake the White House, but Pence has not formally made an announcement. Though the former president has not directly commented on the Pence subpoena, he could assert a challenge of his own by invoking executive privilege in an attempt to shield his communications with the vice president, a tactic he has used to block the testimony of other aides summoned in the recently completed House committee investigation of the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. Trump has cast this special counsel appointment as a political stunt. This is a totally expected political stunt by a feckless, politicized, weaponized Biden Department of Justice, the campaign said at the time. Bradley P. Moss, an attorney who specializes in national security issues, said Pence's planned strategy represents a non-frivolous argument that, if taken to the end of the line, would require the courts to wade into the murkiness of constitutional powers of the vice president. Contrary to the executive privilege issue for which there is rather clear precedent, there is limited case law guiding the courts here and none of it deals with a vice president's dual authorities, Moss said. Renato Mariotti, a former federal prosecutor, described the legislative challenge as bizarre and to my knowledge has never been made before. That means that it is likely to create delay, Mariotti said. It also creates the appearance that he is resisting the opportunity to testify against Trump, which may be part of the reason he is making this argument. But Mariotti said he doubted the novel argument would prevail. Among other things, the testimony that Smith likely seeks relates to conversations between Trump and Pence in which Trump encourages Pence to undertake activity that Pence admits is not legislative, Mariotti said. Mike Pence is apparently going to make it hard for the DOJ to get his testimony against Trump. VanityFair.com. Pence seems prepared to do whatever he can to avoid testifying against Donald Trump. After spurning the House Select Committee investigating the January 6 attack on Capitol Hill, the former vice president is now planning to fight a subpoena from special counsel Jack Smith, who is overseeing the Department of Justice investigations into Trump. According to Politico, which first reported Pence's plans, the former vice president is expected to invoke not executive privilege, as some expected, but rather a kind of legislative privilege. As president of the Senate, and therefore a member of the legislative branch, he could be protected from testifying under the Speech and Debate Clause of the Constitution. This is the same provision MAGA lawmakers like Scott Perry and Lindsey Graham have tried to hide behind to avoid testifying in probes related to the 2020 election. He feels it really goes to the heart of some separation of powers issues, a source familiar with Pence's thinking told Politico. He feels duty-bound to maintain that protection, even if it means litigating it. It's a constitutional gray area, and it's not clear how much standing Pence's argument would have. Nevertheless, it could tie up the special counsel in legal proceedings, at the very least delaying the former vice president's testimony. It's a fair question, Stan Brand, former general counsel of the House of Representatives under Tip O'Neill, told Politico. Procedurally, it creates another layer of potential judicial adjudication and that will certainly complicate the effort to enforce the subpoena. The value of Pence's testimony on the 2021 insurrection is obvious. The former vice president was the target of a pressure campaign by Trump and his allies to refuse to certify Joe Biden's victory on January 6. Attempting to convince Pence to overturn results was their last-ditch idea to cling to power after their other challenges to the results had failed. When Pence refused and convened Congress to ratify Biden's win, Trump incited an armed mob to storm the Capitol, where some of the rioters chanted, "Hang Mike Pence." Pence, who is expected to launch a White House bid of his own, has written about the attack in his memoir, "So Help Me God," and broken with his old boss in public appearances discussing it. President Trump is wrong, the formerly obsequious vice president mustered in a speech last year. But he appears reluctant to provide information to investigators. He refused to cooperate with the January 6 committee, arguing in November that Congress has no right to my testimony, and appears to be ready to give the same cold shoulder to Smith. Merrick Garland appointed Smith to handle the DOJ probe into Trump's actions January 6, as well as his handling of classified documents. The Pence subpoena, which was reported last week, a day before the FBI conducted a search of the former vice president's Indiana home for additional classified documents, reflected a significant escalation in the special counsel's investigation. How much could Pence's fight complicate the probe? That remains to be seen. The above story was quoted from USA Today and VanityFair.com. To find out more stories, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon.